this is Taylor's mural. It went viral and it got 360,000 views.
Wow.
And this is Fernando's mural, and it got over 2 million views on Instagram. And visual content happens to be shared more than 40 times than any other content on social media. So you get higher ratings and reviews. The aesthetic appeal influences the reviews. Guests often highlight the ambiance or the theme of your property. And it has more of an emotional impact and more 5-star ratings. Here's one of the murals, or one of the properties here in Vegas, and it's one of the highest rated ones. It's got 4.96 stars. You can see it has a mural in the background, or in the backyard. So it gives you a competitive advantage. You stand out in these saturated markets. It justifies higher nightly rates, and it attracts more design-conscious travelers, more people that are higher quality guests. Then you can also, support local artists, the community. It builds goodwill with guests and locals. It adds cultural value to your space. Sometimes people put them on blogs or news articles that have to do with Vegas. Like this Airbnb unit here in Vegas is one of the best stays. I found so many of them for so many different states and cities. So it's a one-time investment. It boosts your occupancy and nightly rates. It enhances your guest loyalty and word of mouth. And it even gives it more of like your own brand and identity. So you can have whatever message or whatever branding in your space. So here's a before and after picture of a space. You can see how much more photogenic it is after it has that mural. It increases bookings, as I said, and you get higher social media engagement and better guest reviews. So the process in doing it is usually 3 stages. It's about 5 to 7 weeks turnaround time from the beginning to the end. And it's about 4 to 7 days of actually installing it. So you would be down for 4 to 7 days while it's being painted. So the stage 1 is the idea phase. We have a couple calls. I come up with some concepts based off what we talk about, and then I send some mood boards that I make. After that, we have stage 2, where I make 2 finished designs, and we do a round of revisions to see what you like about it, see what you don't like about it, and then change it and go from there. Once we finally nailed all the art down, I make the renders, like computer generated pictures, so you can see what it looked like in your space in these photos. And then once I have like the final design approved, we schedule a time for me to come and fill it in. Again, that 4 to 7 days, whatever works. And I capture the professional photography for it, and I make time-lapse videos so that you can share it on your social media and websites. And then I do my own social media shout-outs to my own community, and then reach out to enthusiasts, blogs, and like newspaper type people. So usually I charge 30 to 45 per square foot and have a 5,000 minimum, but Paula's a friend and family now because of our mutual friend. So I'm knocking that down to 35, and for this group today, I'm gonna take down another 500, and we'll do like a $3,000 as a kind of like a base price.
Oh my.
Thank you, Paula.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's nice.
It's thanks to Joy upstairs, who's not here, who's busy teaching classes, and that's why I'm not being physically fit this evening and eating food and stuff in my face.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
I'll let her know if she makes up for it.
But yeah, so yay us for special pricing. We love this. Thank you.
Okay, and if you want to get in contact with me, that's my email address. My social media is MigsArt, and that's my phone number. And if you want to see my portfolio, it's linked right there as well.
And everybody, I shared it in the WhatsApp group. So if you're part, I think everybody in here is part of our WhatsApp group, so
Yeah.
you can be part of it too.
And I'll also share this video in the whole group later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That video too.
Yep,
So,
you got
like,
it.
Can we ask questions?
Absolutely.
No.
So
No questions allowed.
Especially not from you.
You can sign up for that.
like I think nope, done.
I have a question about longevity. The sun, of course, is brutal here. I'm guessing that the paint or any type of paint would fade over time. Do you have like a sense of how long some of your murals have lasted so far in the heat?
20 to 25 years is usually what that the
Wow.
type
Really?
of painting that I'll use it. So when you do like an exterior painting
Yeah.
in any way, you use exterior paint that has like a UV protection, and then on top of that I spray like a UV coating. So then
Oh. Can you prolong it by applying a UV
You can.
over time? Does that help a lot?
yeah.
Right. If it's just getting like straight west sun,
Mhm.
it's gonna be pretty brutal. But a lot of people have shade and foliage around, so
Yeah.
you're getting some shade. You know, it's not.
Yeah, and
Total
the
direct
chemical,
sun.
whatever they have in those UV protectant paints are really good.
Really helps.
I've seen like some where I live. There's like this house that's kind of like an Edward Scissorhands looking house. It's like all black. It's painted all black.
Really?
And the front has like a black fence, and then it has so much like grass inside all of that, and all this like really beautiful flowery. But that black has lasted.
That's good.
Do you do canvases that are movable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's a really good question. Yeah, I actually do that. I can build one that's wood, so you can move it as like a backdrop
Right.
if it isn't a big space, or if you want to do like a large canvas that's on a wall, you can do that as well.
Could you do maybe like have a canvas but be able to split it, and so
Yeah,
you move them off to the sides?
yeah,
Because like if you have people, businesses, they want different backdrops,
absolutely.
so they'll keep doing repeat business
hmm
if they have different. So I'm just thinking if you could bring them here, they can do that, move that, take the other ones, or I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
So I actually make this like little wood thing that goes behind it, and then I get a wood board, and that becomes the large canvas because the wood boards happen to be, I think, like 7 feet by 8 feet.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
What if you don't have any ideas, like you're like me, where I'm just like, I want that to be pretty, and right now it's white. I mean, like, you know, how do you walk somebody through the design process if they don't really have a strong feeling?
That's a great question. So the first stage is when we take care of that, where we have like a conversation, and from that conversation, the questions I ask about what you like, or what your theme is in your Airbnb, what things you might want to explore besides that. That's where I make the mood board, and when you have that visual of like 12, 15, 16 images, then I ask you more questions on like, what do you like about this, and what don't you like about, you know, this one, or whatever it is, right? And then from those, we kind of get the juices flowing creatively, because you can see it from those images on the mood board.
He has an incentive. You pay him the $3,000 up front, and every day you don't know, he charges you $10. So I guarantee you by day 3, you know exactly what you want. You like that?
That's awesome.
I don't know. I got it.
Of interest.
You're recording it, huh?
Oh yeah.
Did you do vacation rentals? You have a portfolio with vacation rentals before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of those
A
are
lot,
mine.
yeah?
A lot of those are mine.
Inside and outside, or maybe?
Yeah, both.
both.
Have you done anything with plants, like merged it, like you have a big mural on the wall and then you have a plant that kind of...
I have not done that yet, but that sounds really fun. So if you want to do that, I would be delighted to do that.
Yeah,
She has an amazing space. You're gonna
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever she hosts the next meeting, that'll be
I saw one with
fantastic.
a
Like how you
tree,
do that whole-
for a downtown property, because it would be perfect for downtown, and you have a tree, and you have a tall wall, and you have a girl with a watering can. So it looks like she's watering the tree,
Oh,
and the tree is...
So we actually have a live tree that, well, it's gone now, but we want to plant another tree.
Uh-huh.
And it's the side of the apartment complex, and then you make a huge girl, like 14 feet tall,
yeah.
holding a water pail, like she says, pouring down on the wall, but from the back, it looks like she's watering the real tree.
That
Real
sounds
live
cool.
tree.
That sounds like it would be
Yeah,
really
that
cool.
sounds cool.
I actually worked very briefly for this company that had a lot of this in their properties, and in their rental agreement, which I thought was like just a hair heavy-handed, they required that if they wanted, the brides wanted to take photos in front of anything in their property, anywhere, that they had to be tagged. They had to tag the company. So,
Interesting.
and now they did it in like a a nice way. I still have all their like documentation. I could pull it up if we ever decide we want to put that into our rental agreements. Like, you know, or a mural. You know, if we said if you do photos here, please remember to tag blah blah blah. You know. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they were sort of forcing their guests to promote them.
What?
Yeah.
If they're using that, using the benefit of that, least they can do is tag them.
I agree.
Any other questions?
So generally, how long does it take, like, to actually for you to start? Like, how's your backlog in terms of actually starting a new project?
I try and do 2 a month, but the summer times it's kind of when I push myself to do maybe like two to three of them a month.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 a month is kind of the normal
So
thing.
like a couple of weeks, then you finish up one and
Mhm.
have another
I
one.
do. I finish one up in 4 to 7 days,
Uh-huh.
and then that next week I kind of want some rest.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Because you're out in that sun and
Yeah. And then the next week I'm like, all right, we can go back to it.
Oh, okay. Well, something to think about.
Great briefing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we're going to talk about vendors and cleaning. And I'm trying not to make this whole organization the Jimbo show, but it was a real popular request to go over vendors. And as I was telling Mike before, is it Mike or Mike?
Michael, thank you for asking.
Michael. I was telling Michael before, I'm a business guy. This is our third business. And there are business principles that apply to any industry, whether you're selling sodas, photography, windows, doors, art, or real estate. There's a lot of principles that are universal. And I think of business as a wheel with different spokes to the wheel. And maintenance or vendors is one spoke to the wheel in our profession. So we're going to just focus on this particular spoke. And I'm going to share with you 30 years of experience managing vendors. And I'm going to teach you some things that I've learned over the years. And these are things I wish I had learned 30 years ago. All right, so this is the outline. I'm going to go through these subjects. No such thing as a perfect vendor. There's the vendor triangle: good, fast, or cheap. Constant processes. Paying vendors to come back. Rating and feedback. Paying promptly. How to handle poor service requests. And the bullet below I forgot to add was a cleaning. There was a slide about cleaning. I don't handle the cleaning, Barb does, so this morning I kind of quizzed her on some things that I should do in the presentation. I am not in charge of cleaning, so if anyone wants to add on at the end their experience and some suggestions on cleaning, that would be awesome. All right, so number one, there's no such thing as a perfect vendor. And this is really a hard concept for a lot of people to understand. Everyone is fallible. Everyone has problems. I have problems. You just haven't found them yet. Or maybe you do, or you just haven't shared it with me. So the key to, and by the way, there's the Holy Grail doesn't exist, right? There's no perfect vendor. So the key to success is to have multiple vendors in every trade. So in our business, we probably have, 5 plumbers, 4 HVAC guys, 3 painters, 4 or 5 handymen, and so on. And each one of these vendors has their features and benefits and some of their drawbacks. So I'm going to share with you how we kind of manage that. So the number one reason why you want to have multiple vendors in every trade that you work with is because you don't want vendors to hold you hostage. If you have only one plumber and you're desperate to have something done, they can charge you 2 or 3 times for the task. So you always want to have multiple vendors. And we also track what they're good at. In our staff meetings on Mondays, we kind of review some vendors. If we've had a problem with a vendor, we share that with everybody. We tell them what they're good at, what they're not good at. Sadly, we're not as accurate as I'd like to be in terms of being able to track specifically everything they're good at and what they're not good at, but we're trying. We use a system in our database, our AppFolio is the application that we use to manage properties, but this can apply to any application you use to manage your short-term rentals, and that's to rate your vendors. And so there's a couple benefits to that. One benefit is if you have people working for you, they get an idea already right out of the gate what this vendor is like. And it happens to be a lot of our property managers always go for the 5 stars, right? Because they want to look like a rock star. But sometimes we have vendors that are just not, we don't have any, for example, in the glass business, we don't have any 5-star vendors. It comes down to who's available. So in our system, we use a star system for all of our vendors. And so the other nice thing about it, another side benefit to that is those vendors actually see that.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of vendors that go, well, how do I become a 5-star? And so I said, well, you got to work on your estimates. Like Jim Rehab, one of our primary handymen, the reason why he couldn't get a 5-star is because his estimates were always written on a napkin. And I'm like, this is not, you're cheap, but it's really hard to tell our owners that you're good. And it's because you put all these estimates that are scribbled out. So
That's a folio. That's part of the AppFolio, the thing with the rating.
AppFolio. So in AppFolio, you have a title of the vendor
Okay.
and their company name. We just add those stars to the company name. Does that make sense?
Show me later.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't have a real rating system. No, he created it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just added the stars.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've been adding a bunch of vendors, and there's a notes section in AppFolio that no one used, and I put, these guys are great, they work in Henderson, no. You know, if you have, wherever you're putting this, if you can just write the notes, like, don't send them to such, they do this horribly, like, that's all anybody wants to know.
Right. Well, we have a maintenance manager that keeps a lot of that in his head. However, sometimes he's not available and we have an urgent issue, so that's the system we use. But again, the benefit of having that rating system is you'll get vendors that actually try to improve their game. We had one vendor who actually learned how to use a computer or his phone to create invoices, and man, it changed his life. All right, so I want to talk about what I call the vendor triangle. The vendor triangle is quality, price, and speed. You can only get 2 out of the 3. There is no such thing as a vendor who has all 3. And the way to think about this is most vendors, if they've got good quality, they're typically expensive and not always available. And if you got someone that's fast and available, they may not necessarily be good because they're available. And then same things happens with price. A lot of times if they're cheap, they're not going to be good, but they will be fast. So me personally, when I do rehabs in the property management business, I usually match the vendor triangle to the property. So our portfolio, we have a wide spectrum of property. We've got some really difficult and run-down properties down Fremont Street that are ancient, and then we've got some bling-blings up in Summerlin. And so I would never send someone who's inexpensive to the one in Summerlin because I need someone that's high quality. Because the person that either owns a home or is living there is used to high quality. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is something you have to keep in mind when you're just dispatching vendors. Vendors are always changing. So if we look at this scale of performance, at the top you get your 5 stars, and at the bottom you get people that don't perform well. And then the bulk of your vendors are kind of in the middle, right? And it's not a static case. A lot of times these vendors are going up and down, or sometimes not available. We have some vendors that end up in the hospital. We've had, in the course of the last 10, 12 years, we've had 3 vendors die on us. So they go away. So this is a constant process of changing. So because this is always changing, we typically stop using these vendors, right? The ones that are not performing well, we stop using. We don't burn the bridge. We don't say we're never going to use them again. We change their stars, and they just sit there and linger in our database. Sometimes, about every 3 years, that vendor will snap out of it. They'll figure out a way to do their business right, or they'll get a partner that's doing it better, or they stop doing crack, and they become awesome. So it's always changing. And also we discovered some vendors will get too busy, and then their performance will start to slide off the cliff. So when that happens, we lower the rating, they get used less, and so then they learn that they're not getting as much business, and then it comes back. So this is a constant process. We're also constantly adding vendors. Paula just mentioned a minute ago that she's brought in some vendors that she's used in the past, and those get introduced in the system. I get emails probably 1 or 2 a day from other vendors that want to be a preferred vendor for us, either HVAC or plumbing or one of those. And if they've got a good presence on the email, then we'll add them to our system, and then we'll just put a question mark on them in case we get desperate.
Now I realize why my carpet cleaning guy was like, he had a question mark next to him. I'm like, why you got one? And he's awesome. Yeah, so then I changed that.
There you go. Because we don't know. Only Paula knows.
I was just surprised he was even in there. So,
Yeah. We're always adding vendors. It's a constant process. You know, McDonald's. Look at McDonald's, right? If you, they're always changing. They've always got a new person working the cash register, right? If they just like next, you know, because that person, you know, doesn't show up, so it's a constant process. So we have the same principle in our business. Vendors are always being added, and vendors are always being dropped, and we're always letting go of the bottom. It's also true, by the way, with our clients and tenants. All right, what are you paying for? You are paying for their work, but you're also paying them to come back. And I think this is a concept a lot of people don't know. When we get a vendor that does good work, we pay them immediately. And we have what I call good enough. If your standards are too high and you're not happy with your vendors and you're always breaking their balls, they're not going to come back. I had a property manager who worked for me for a few years. I taught her how to become a broker. She became a broker, and her standards were super high. And I noticed that when she was working for me. And what happened was frequently vendors would get frustrated with her and stop working for her. And so over time, she was always scrambling with new vendors. And good enough wasn't acceptable. And so I noticed this about her. And so she started her own brokerage. She did her own thing. And at about 50 doors, she had a meltdown. And the reason why she had a meltdown was because she was doing everything all the time, and she couldn't rely on her vendors. Feedback and reviews, we kind of spoke about that a little bit. You want to make sure you have a feedback system. And by the way, you want to have an internal feedback system as well. So let's just talk about in your short-term rental business. When your guests check in, you want to get feedback right away, right? Is everything okay? Did you find everything that met your standard or your expectations and so on? The reason why I want to do this is because number one is if there is something wrong, you want to have the opportunity to fix it right away, right? Because some people are shy, they won't tell you something's wrong. They'll leave your house and then slam you on either the platform or Yelp or Google. And all of our product lines, whether it be short-term rentals or long-term rentals or mid-term rentals, we have a feedback system on all of our clients. We're always asking them, hey, how was your maintenance event? And the reason we do this is because we don't want them to slam us on media. Appfolio has an awesome system. It does feedback on the move-ins as well as maintenance. If you don't use Appfolio, you have a different platform, or you're just winging it with Excel spreadsheets. An alternative you can use is Google Forms. They're super easy. Don't make it complicated. Ask six questions. And you want to send them that link when they move in so that you get some feedback. Or if it's a maintenance event, same thing. I love Google Forms. I can do all kinds of stuff with it. So if you get an internal negative review, of course you want to get on it. We also share that with the vendor. Now sometimes vendors will go, oh yeah, that person's out of their mind. And sometimes they are. But at least we want our vendors to know that we're keeping an eye on them. If it's a positive review, all of our tenants and all of our guests and our short-term and mid-term rentals get incentives to leave us a positive review. That's why if you go to if you see our Yelp or Google, you'll see there's a lot of 5 stars up there. Pay promptly. 95% of these vendors live hand to mouth. I mean, a lot of these guys are just like one petty check away from being evicted. So you want to make sure that you pay them right away. I know a lot of my competitors float money. I don't get it, why they do that. I hear this all the time among vendors. There's a lot of competitors that they are net 30. And the reason why they're doing that is because the property management company is floating money. I don't think it's right. And the benefit of us paying our vendors right away is when we call them, they are Johnny on the spot, right? Yeah, because they're like, oh, well, I have a choice between Limestone, that'll pay me tomorrow, or I have this other company, I'm going to pay it until July. And then they're like, that's a no-brainer. They're going to jump for us, right? So that's why we pay promptly. That's another reason I love Appfolio. We go click, 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 and the money goes out to them right away. And on this subject, treating vendors with respect and praise is amazing, and it's free. When you tell your vendors they did a great job and you thank them personally, it goes a long way. It really does. And a lot of people don't believe that. And some vendors, I've got a property manager that is not that way with my vendors, and they have a habit of not working for it. They just flat out won't work for it. So it's super important that you treat your vendors with respect, and it never hurts to praise them.
Also, like you can do some things in the short-term area where, like, if they mention that in a review that the property was spotless or clean or whatever, you can give a bonus to your cleaner.
Yeah.
Or forward the review to your cleaner. Like, I'll do that if I have a greeter or somebody who's, showed up to help fix something. You give them a bonus and say, this is why we're doing it. It's right here. I need you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and my maintenance manager, he gets bonuses for reviews, both internal and external. I can't remember what the compensation is, but if it's an external positive review, he gets like $50. So he's always trying to get that. And then some of our property managers, they get incentives at the year end for a trip to Mexico. All right, job failure. In our business, we manage about 350 doors. Every other day, something goes wrong. Okay? It happens. So, if the vendor made a mistake, first of all, let me back up. If we reach out to the customer and see if we can't fix it and compensate it, we make mistakes all the time, and we just immediately fix it. Now, if it's just money, fine. If we need to send the vendor back, that's fine too. If the vendor screwed up, then we give them the opportunity to make it right. Hey, Mr. Vendor, the work done at this location wasn't done properly. Here is the feedback from the guest. We didn't just make this up. We would like for you to have an opportunity to make it right. This is pretty much the exact verbiage I use. And a lot of our 5-star vendors don't even blink. They go back and make it right. Some of my 3-star vendors will tell me to pound sand. And at that point I say, well, if you don't make it right, we're done. So that's how they get 0 stars, and then they never get hired again. Okay, hiring cleaners. I'm going to try to interpret, this is the last slide, I'm going to try to interpret what Barb gave me this morning. And feel free, by the way, if any of you have some other tips and techniques that you would like to share, I'd love to hear it. So hiring cleaners, again, is kind of more of a constant process because cleaners don't always last forever. They either get another job or they move to Oklahoma and we never see them again. So she asked these questions. I thought they were kind of interesting. So the number one question she asked them is, what are the 5 hardest things to clean? And she's listening for their response, you know, because in her mind, things like the top of the refrigerator is like number 1, right? And if the cleaner doesn't mention the top of the refrigerator, she knows that she might have
doing it.
Exactly. She also watches if they're on top of the profession. You know, do you watch YouTube videos on things, how to clean, you know, how to clean brass or anything like that? By the way, rarely do they even answer this question. They're like, there's YouTube videos? She wants to measure their performance based on this question: how long does it take to clean a 2-bed, 2-bath? The answer she's looking for is 4 hours. If the answer is 2 hours, that tells her that they're not very thorough. And if it's 6 hours, it's telling her that they are slow, they're not proficient. So that's kind of the reason why she asked that question. Do you have reliable transportation? Right? So sometimes it might be good for you to go look at the car. If it looks like it's, you know, there's a donut on the right wheel and the headlights hanging out, probably going to have issues with that cleaner in the near future. What cleaning products do you have or bring with you? That's another thing that she is able to tell the quality of the cleaner with the kind of tools that they use. Cleaners that have basic repair skills get top billing. They get dispatched all the time because when we go, they go to clean a house and it looks like the towel rack is a little bit loose and it